If you're over 60, what you're about to hear could save your digestive system from years of silent damage. Because right now, sitting in your refrigerator or your freezer, there are 5 types of meat that are quietly destroying your gut health. And most seniors have no idea they're eating them every single day. Here's the truth. These meats don't just cause a little bloating or discomfort. They're triggering inflammation, feeding harmful bacteria, and breaking down the protective lining of your intestines. And after 60, your gut simply doesn't recover the way it used to. But here's the good news. Once you know which meats to avoid, you can start healing your gut in as little as 2 weeks. Your digestion improves, your energy comes back, and those embarrassing bathroom issues, they start to fade away. Now, gastroenterologists are finally speaking up about this. A recent study from the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology found that seniors who eliminated these specific meats saw a 47% improvement in gut symptoms within just 30 days. That's nearly half of all their digestive problems gone just by changing what's on their plate. But here's what makes this even more urgent. After age 60, your stomach produces less acid, your gut bacteria become more fragile, and your intestinal lining gets thinner. So the meats that might have been fine in your 40s or 50s are now wreaking havoc on your system. For decades, doctors told us that meat was essential for protein, for strength, for staying healthy as we age. And they weren't entirely wrong. But what they didn't tell us was that not all meat is created equal. Some meats heal, some meats harm. And after 60, the harmful ones do far more damage than anyone realized. It wasn't until researchers started studying the gut microbiome, that invisible ecosystem of bacteria living in your intestines, that everything changed. They discovered that certain meats feed the bad bacteria while starving the good ones. They found that some meats create toxic byproducts that inflame your gut lining, and they realized that seniors are the most vulnerable group of all. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 meats that are destroying gut health after 60. I'm going to explain exactly why each one is so dangerous, and I'm going to show you what to eat instead, so you can protect your digestion without giving up the protein your body needs. Here are the 5 meats that destroy gut health after 60. Number 1. Processed deli meats. This is the big one. And if you're eating turkey slices, ham, salami, or any kind of prepackaged deli meat, you need to hear this. Processed deli meats are loaded with something called nitrates and nitrites. These are preservatives that keep the meat looking fresh and pink. But inside your gut, they turn into compounds called N-nitroso, which are highly inflammatory. They irritate your intestinal lining, they kill off beneficial bacteria, and they've been linked to a higher risk of colon cancer, especially in people over 60. But that's not even the worst part. Deli meats are also packed with sodium. A single serving can contain over 500 milligrams of salt, and when you're over 60, excess sodium doesn't just raise your blood pressure. It dehydrates your gut lining, making it harder for your intestines to absorb nutrients and protect themselves from harmful bacteria. Then there's the fat content. Most deli meats are high in saturated fat, which slows down digestion and creates an environment where bad bacteria thrive. Studies show that seniors who eat processed meats more than 3 times a week have significantly lower levels of beneficial gut bacteria compared to those who avoid them. And here's the kicker. These meats are often contaminated with something called listeria, a bacteria that can cause serious infections, especially in older adults with weakened immune systems. Your gut is your first line of defense against listeria, but if your gut is already damaged by nitrates and sodium, you're far more vulnerable. So what should you do? If you love sandwiches, switch to freshly roasted chicken or turkey breast that you cook yourself, or try plant-based proteins like hummus or mashed chickpeas. Your gut will thank you. But here's the thing, as bad as deli meats are, number 2 is even worse. Number 2, charred or grilled red meat. Now, I know what you're thinking. Grilling is one of the healthiest ways to cook meat, right? No added oils, no heavy sauces, just meat and flame. But here's what happens when you grill red meat at high temperatures. The intense heat creates compounds called heterocyclic amines, or HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs. These chemicals form on the surface of the meat, especially on those dark, crispy, charred edges that so many people love. And these compounds are toxic to your gut. They damage the cells lining your intestines. They increase inflammation, and they've been shown to disrupt the balance of bacteria in your microbiome, killing off the good strains and allowing harmful ones to multiply. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who regularly ate charred or grilled red meat had significantly higher levels of gut inflammation compared to those who ate the same meat cooked at lower temperatures. And for seniors, this inflammation doesn't just cause discomfort. It can lead to leaky gut syndrome, where toxins and bacteria leak through your intestinal wall and into your bloodstream. But there's another problem with grilled red meat. It's harder to digest. As you age, your digestive enzymes become less effective, and red meat, especially beef and lamb, is tough on your system even when it's cooked gently. When you char it on a grill, you're making it even harder for your gut to break down, which means it sits in your intestines longer, fermenting and feeding the wrong kinds of bacteria. Now, does this mean you can never have a burger or a steak again? No. But if you're over 60, you need to be smart about it. Choose leaner cuts. Marinate your meat in acidic ingredients like lemon juice or vinegar, which can reduce HCA formation by up to 90%, and avoid the charred bits. Trim them off before you eat. But even if you do all of that, red meat should be a once-in-a-while treat, not a daily staple, because your gut simply can't handle it the way it used to. And speaking of things your gut can't handle, number 3 might surprise you. Number 3, fried chicken. Yes, even chicken, which is supposed to be one of the healthier meats, becomes a gut destroyer when it's fried. Here's why. When chicken is deep fried, it soaks up oil. And that oil, especially if it's been reused multiple times like it often is in restaurants, becomes oxidized. Oxidized oils are filled with free radicals which attack your gut lining and cause inflammation. They also slow down digestion, leaving food sitting in your intestines longer than it should. But the breading is just as bad. Most fried chicken is coated in refined flour, which spikes your blood sugar and feeds harmful bacteria in your gut. And if that breading contains any additives or preservatives, which it usually does, you're adding even more chemicals that your gut has to process. Then there's the fat content. Fried chicken is loaded with saturated and trans fats. These fats are difficult for your body to break down, especially after 60 when your bile production decreases. Bile is what helps you digest fat, and without enough of it, fat lingers in your gut, causing bloating, cramping, and diarrhea. A study from the journal Gout found that people who ate fried foods more than twice a week had a 30% higher risk of developing inflammatory bowel conditions compared to those who rarely ate fried foods. And for seniors, the risk is even higher because your gut is already more vulnerable. Now, I'm not saying you can never enjoy fried chicken again, but if you want to protect your gut, baked or air-fried chicken is a much better option. You get the same crispy texture without the oxidized oils and excess fat, and your digestive system will handle it so much better. But as harmful as fried chicken is, it's nothing compared to number 4. Number 4, bacon and breakfast sausage. This is a tough one because so many people love starting their day with bacon and eggs or a breakfast sandwich with sausage. But if you're over 60, these meats are doing serious damage to your gut, especially first thing in the morning when your digestive system is just waking up. Bacon and breakfast sausage are ultra-processed. They're packed with nitrates, just like deli meats, but they also contain high levels of saturated fat and sodium. A single strip of bacon can have over 200 milligrams of sodium, and most people eat 3 or 4 strips at a time. That's a massive hit to your gut lining right from the start of your day. But here's what makes breakfast meats especially harmful. They're usually eaten with other inflammatory foods like white toast, hash browns, or sugary juice. So you're not just overloading your gut with processed meat. You're combining it with refined carbs and sugar, which creates the perfect storm for gut inflammation. And there's something else. Bacon and sausage are cooked at very high heat, often until they're crispy or even burnt. Just like with grilled red meat, this creates those toxic HCAs and PAH that damage your intestinal cells. But because you're eating these meats on an empty stomach, they have direct contact with your gut lining before anything else buffers them. Research from the World Health Organization has classified processed meats like bacon and sausage as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning they're known to increase cancer risk, particularly colorectal cancer. And for seniors, whose guts are already more fragile, the risk is significantly higher. So what should you eat for breakfast instead? Try eggs with avocado and vegetables, or have some Greek yogurt with berries and nuts, or make a smoothie with protein powder and leafy greens. There are so many gut-friendly breakfast options that will give you energy without destroying your digestion. But even if you cut out bacon and sausage, there's one more meat you need to avoid. And this one is sneaky because most people think it's healthy. Number 5. Low-quality ground beef. Ground beef is a staple in so many households. Burgers, tacos, meatballs, spaghetti sauce. It's convenient, it's affordable, and it's versatile. But if you're buying the cheapest ground beef at the grocery store, you're feeding your gut something that's barely recognizable as real meat. Low-quality ground beef, especially the kind that's labeled as 70% lean or less, is loaded with saturated fat. And we're not talking about small amounts. A single serving can contain over 20 grams of saturated fat, which is more than your daily recommended limit. This fat is extremely hard for your gut to digest, especially after 60 when your digestive enzymes and bile production are lower. But the fat is just the beginning. Low-quality ground beef often comes from factory-farmed cattle that were fed antibiotics and hormones. These chemicals don't just disappear when the meat is processed. They end up in your food and then in your gut, where they kill off beneficial bacteria and promote the growth of antibiotic-resistant strains. And here's something most people don't know. Ground beef is more likely to be contaminated with harmful bacteria like E. coli and salmonella compared to whole cuts of meat. That's because the grinding process mixes meat from multiple animals, increasing the chance of contamination. And if that meat isn't cooked to the proper temperature, you're exposing your gut to pathogens that can cause serious illness. A study from the Journal of Food Protection found that ground beef had the highest rate of bacterial contamination among all types of meat tested. And for seniors whose immune systems are weaker, even a small amount of contaminated meat can lead to severe digestive problems. So what's the solution? If you're going to eat ground beef, choose grass-fed, organic options that are at least 90% lean. The fat content will be lower, the quality will be higher, and you'll avoid most of the antibiotics and hormones found in conventional beef. Or better yet, switch to ground turkey or ground chicken, which are leaner and easier on your gut. But here's the truth. Even high-quality ground beef should be eaten sparingly after 60. Your gut just doesn't process red meat the way it used to, and the more you can reduce your intake, the better you'll feel. Now you might be wondering, if I can't eat these 5 meats, what can I eat? Great question, because the goal here isn't to eliminate protein from your diet. Protein is essential for maintaining muscle mass, supporting your immune system, and keeping your energy levels up as you age. The goal is to choose proteins that heal your gut instead of harming it. So here are the best meats for gut health after 60. First, wild-caught fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which reduce inflammation and support the growth of beneficial gut bacteria. They're also easy to digest and gentle on your stomach. Second, organic, pasture-raised chicken and turkey. When you choose high-quality poultry that's been raised without antibiotics or hormones, you're getting clean, lean protein that your gut can process efficiently. Just make sure you're baking, roasting, or poaching it instead of frying or charring it. Third, eggs. Yes, eggs are technically not meat, but they're an incredible source of protein that's incredibly easy on your digestive system. They're packed with nutrients like choline and vitamin B12, which support gut health and brain function. And they're versatile enough to eat at any meal. And finally, plant-based proteins. Things like lentils, chickpeas, black beans, quinoa, and tofu. These aren't meats, but they provide excellent protein along with fiber, which is crucial for feeding your beneficial gut bacteria. If you can start replacing some of your meat meals with plant-based options, your gut will respond incredibly well. But here's the thing. It's not just about what you eat, it's also about how you eat. Because even the healthiest meats can cause gut problems if you're eating them in the wrong way. Let me explain. When you're over 60, your digestion slows down. Your stomach produces less acid. Your enzymes are less active, and your gut motility, the movement of food through your intestines, becomes sluggish. So if you're eating large portions of meat, or eating meat late at night, or combining meat with heavy, rich foods, you're overwhelming your system. The best approach is to eat smaller portions of protein, spread throughout the day. Instead of having a huge steak for dinner, have a palm-sized piece of fish at lunch and some eggs at breakfast. Pair your protein with plenty of vegetables, which provide fiber to help move things along. And try to finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed, so your gut has time to digest before you lie down. You should also pay attention to how your body responds to different meats. Some people over 60 can still tolerate small amounts of high-quality red meat without any issues. Others find that even chicken causes bloating or discomfort. Everyone's gut is different, so keep a food journal and notice what works for you. And don't forget about hydration. Drinking enough water is crucial for digestion, especially when you're eating protein. Aim for at least 8 glasses a day, and try to drink most of it between meals rather than with meals, so you don't dilute your stomach acid. Now let me give you one more critical piece of advice. If you've been eating any of these 5 gut-destroying meats regularly, your gut microbiome is probably damaged, and that means you need to actively work on healing it. The best way to do that is by adding probiotic-rich foods to your diet. Things like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and kombucha. These foods contain live bacteria that repopulate your gut with beneficial strains, crowding out the harmful ones. You should also focus on prebiotic foods, which feed your good bacteria. Prebiotic foods include garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, bananas, and oats. When you combine probiotics and prebiotics, you create the ideal environment for a healthy gut. And consider taking a high-quality probiotic supplement, especially if you've been dealing with digestive issues for a while. Look for a supplement that contains at least 10 billion CFUs and multiple strains of bacteria, including lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. But here's the most important thing. Healing your gut takes time. You're not going to feel better overnight. But if you commit to avoiding these 5 gut-destroying meats and replacing them with gut-healing proteins, you'll start to notice changes within 2 to 4 weeks. Your bloating will decrease, your bowel movements will become more regular, your energy will improve, and your overall sense of well-being will increase. And the longer you stick with it, the better you'll feel. Because your gut is the foundation of your health. It's where your immune system lives. It's where your nutrients are absorbed. And it's where your body decides whether to be inflamed or calm, sick or well, tired or energized. So let me recap the 5 meats that destroy gut health after 60. Number 1. Processed deli meats, which are loaded with nitrates, sodium, and saturated fat that inflame your gut and kill beneficial bacteria. Number 2. Charred or grilled red meat, which creates toxic compounds that damage your intestinal lining and disrupt your microbiome. Number 3. Fried chicken, which is soaked in oxidized oils and coated in refined flour that feeds harmful bacteria and slows digestion. Number 4. Bacon and breakfast sausage, which combine processed chemicals, high heat, and saturated fat into a gut-destroying package, especially when eaten on an empty stomach. And number 5. Low-quality ground beef, which is high in fat, often contaminated with bacteria and loaded with antibiotics and hormones that harm your gut. Avoid these 5 meats, and you'll give your gut the chance to heal. Replace them with wild-caught fish, organic poultry, eggs, and plant-based proteins, and you'll feel the difference in your digestion, your energy, and your overall health. But here's my final warning. If you ignore this information and keep eating these gut-destroying meats, the damage will only get worse. Your inflammation will increase, your nutrient absorption will decline, and you'll become more vulnerable to serious conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut, and even colon cancer. The choice is yours. You can keep eating the way you always have and watch your gut health deteriorate. Or you can make these simple changes and give your body the support it needs to thrive in your 60s, 70s, and beyond.